Welcome back to Zarila HOA Stories. Drop your country or city name in comments. Chapter 1 of the Garden of Peace. Emily knelt in the dirt, her gloves caked with soil as she planted the last row of tulips. The late afternoon sun warmed her back, and the air smelled sweet with lavender. For her, the garden was not just decoration. It was therapy. Every flower she planted reminded her that beauty could grow out of hard work and patience. Neighbors often slowed down as they passed. Some waved, some stopped to compliment her roses or ask for tip. The colorful yard was different from the neat, plain lawns that stretched down the street, but most people loved it. Most people. Across the street, Karen watched from behind her dark sunglasses. She stood stiffly on her porch, arms crossed, lips tight. Karen wasn't just a neighbor. She was the HOA president, and she was known for reminding everyone of it. Every trash can left out too long, every fence too tall, every car parked slightly crooked, Karen noticed. And she never let it slide. Emily wiped sweat from her forehead and smiled at the bright petals. That smile faded when she caught sight of Karen. The woman was still staring, unmoving, like a hawk circling its prey. Emily forced a wave. "Evening, Karen." Karen didn't wave back. She just tilted her head, scanned the yard from left to right, and finally said, "That garden is bold." Emily swallowed. "Thank you. I'm proud of it." Karen's lips curved, but not into a smile. "We'll see how long it lasts." Then she turned and walked back into her house without another word. That night, Emily sat on her porch swing, sipping tea and listening to the crickets. The flowers glowed faintly under the porch light. She should have felt peace, but the weight of Karen's words stuck with her. Her phone buzzed with a text from her neighbor, Mrs. Lee. "Careful with Karen. She doesn't like anything different." Emily typed back quickly. "It's just flowers." Mrs. Lee responded almost instantly. With her, nothing is just flowers. Emily set down her phone, unease crawling over her. The next morning, Emily was back in the garden, pulling weeds, when she noticed Karen pacing along the sidewalk with a clipboard. Karen paused, crouched slightly, and snapped a photo of the roses with her phone. Emily straightened up. "Excuse me, what are you doing?" Karen didn't even flinch. "Documenting," she said flatly. "For what?" Emily's voice sharpened. "Rules are rules, Emily. You should review the guidelines." Emily's chest tightened. "There's nothing against flowers." Karen smiled, this time with satisfaction. "We'll see." She turned and walked away, scribbling notes onto her clipboard as if the yard were a crime scene. Emily's stomach churned. She tried to shake it off, telling herself Karen was bluffing. But that evening, as Emily watered her hydrangeas, Karen's car crept slowly past. The tinted window rolled down, and Emily swore she saw the lens of a camera flash again. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number appeared. "Remove the garden. Last warning." Emily froze on the sidewalk, the hose still spraying water over the grass. The garden dripped around her feet, but all she could feel was the chill of fear. Chapter 2: The Warning Letter. The morning sun had barely risen when Emily stepped onto her porch with a cup of coffee. The air was crisp, and the flowers she'd watered the night before still glistened with dew. For a moment the world seemed calm. Then she opened her mailbox. Inside was a thick white envelope stamped with Homeowners Association official notice. Her stomach sank before she even tore it open. The letter was short and sharp. "Your property is in violation of HOA regulations. The presence of non-uniform plantings and unauthorized landscaping creates visual disruption. You are hereby ordered to remove the garden within 10 days. Failure to comply will result in fines." At the bottom was Karen's neat, aggressive signature. Emily crumpled the paper in her hand. "Non-uniform plantings?" she muttered. "They're just flowers." She stormed back inside and dropped the letter on the kitchen table. Her phone buzzed. It was Mrs. Lee again. "Did you get it?" the text read. Emily called her instead. "She actually sent me an official violation. Over flowers." Mrs. Lee's voice came through low and nervous. I told you. She does this to anyone who doesn't bend to her rules. Don't make her angry, Emily. She can make your life miserable. Emily's jaw clenched. She already has. Later that day, Emily was kneeling by her rose bushes when Mr. Harris, an older neighbor with a cane, shuffled over. Beautiful garden, he said, nodding with a faint smile. Thanks, Emily sighed. Karen doesn't think so. Mr. Harris's face darkened. Karen doesn't think much of anyone. She once fined me for having the wrong shade of beige on my shutters. Beige? Emily looked up sharply. Did you fight it? He shook his head. I didn't have the energy. Paid the fine. She knows most people won't fight back. Emily's voice hardened. Well, maybe someone should. Mr. Harris gave her a long, cautious look. Be careful. Karen always finds a way to win. That evening, Emily spotted Karen standing in front of her house again, clipboard tucked under one arm. She was talking to another board member, whispering and pointing at the garden. Emily walked to the sidewalk. If you have a problem with my yard, say it to my face. Karen smiled thinly. It's not personal. It's about rules. Everyone has to follow them. Otherwise, this neighborhood falls apart. Emily crossed her arms. Funny. My neighbors seem to like the garden. Karen's eyes narrowed. Some do. But many agree it looks messy. Unprofessional. Emily's voice rose. It's flowers, not trash. Karen didn't flinch. She leaned in close, her tone icy. If you don't remove them, you'll regret it. Trust me. She turned, heels clicking against the pavement, leaving Emily trembling with fury. That night, Emily sat at her desk and pulled the violation letter closer. She grabbed a pen and started scribbling notes on the back. City ordinances to look up, HOA bylaws to review, every piece of evidence she could think of to protect her garden. Her hands shook as she wrote, but her determination grew stronger with every line. Suddenly, she heard a sound outside, the faint click of a camera. She jumped up and pulled back the curtain. Karen was standing in the street, snapping photos of her house under the glow of the street lamp. Emily yanked open the door. Stop spying on me, she shouted into the night. Karen didn't answer. She just raised her phone, took one last picture, and walked away. Emily's heart pounded as she stood barefoot on the porch. The violation letter sat on her desk, glaring at her like a threat she couldn't ignore. Chapter 3 of Fines and Fear. Emily stepped onto her porch the next morning, bracing herself before she even touched the mailbox. The memory of Karen's camera flashing in the dark still haunted her. She opened the box and froze. Another envelope. Another HOA letter. Her hands shook as she ripped it open. Notice of fine. $250 for failure to comply with violation order. Additional $50 will be added daily until correction is made. Emily's chest tightened. $250? 4 flowers. Her phone slipped in her hand. She sat on the porch steps, staring at the paper as if it would dissolve if she blinked hard enough. The garden swayed in the breeze, innocent and bright, yet it was costing her hundreds of dollars. By noon, Emily was pacing her living room when the phone rang. She answered without checking the ID. Emily Carter? The voice was firm, male, and professional. Yes. This is the HOA office. This is your official reminder that daily fines are in effect until compliance. If payment is not received, further action will be taken. Emily gripped the phone tighter. This is insane. My garden doesn't break any law. Ma'am, the voice said coldly, your issue is with the HOA board. We're only enforcing the rules. Before she could argue, the line went dead. Emily slammed the phone down. Her pulse hammered in her ears. That evening, she spotted Mrs. Lee standing at the edge of the sidewalk, her face pale. I heard about the fine, Mrs. Lee whispered. Karen told the board you're being difficult. Emily laughed bitterly. Difficult? For planting flowers. Mrs. Lee bit her lip. She's trying to make an example out of you. If you fight, she'll fight harder. That's how she's always been. Emily clenched her fist. Then let her fight. I'm not backing down. Mrs. Lee's eyes darted nervously to Karen's house across the street. The curtains twitched as if someone had just let them fall back into place. She's watching, Mrs. Lee murmured before hurrying home. 2 days later, another letter came. Total due, $600. Failure to pay will result in legal action and possible lien on property. Emily's breath caught. She dropped the letter onto the counter, her knees weak. $600. Just for refusing to rip out her roses and tulip. Her phone buzzed. A new message from an unknown number. Pay up, or lose the house. Emily's hands went cold. She dialed Karen directly. When the line clicked, Karen's voice came smooth and controlled. Hello, Emily. You can't do this, Emily snapped. You can't find me into bankruptcy over flowers. Karen chuckled softly. It's not me. It's the rules. Maybe you should have read them before planting your little jungle. This is harassment. Call it whatever you like, Karen said. But the fines won't stop until the garden is gone. The line clicked dead. Emily stood in her kitchen, heart pounding, her reflection trembling in the dark window glass. That night she couldn't sleep. She paced from room to room, every creak in the house making her jump. She pulled open binders, searching online for city landscaping codes, HOA bylaws, anything that could prove she wasn't breaking rules. Around midnight, she found a clause in the HOA handbook. All landscaping must be in compliance with city codes. Her eyes widened. The city codes actually allowed flower gardens. They encouraged them. She grabbed her phone, snapping photos of the page. Finally, a glimmer of hope. Then came the sound. Click. Flash. Emily froze. She rushed to the window and yanked the curtain aside. Karen stood at the curb, phone in hand, camera still glowing from the photo she had just taken. Their eyes met through the glass. Karen's smile spread slowly, chilling Emily to the bone. Emily stepped back from the window, her pulse racing. The fines were only the beginning. Chapter 4: Public Confrontation. The heat of the afternoon clung to the street as Emily stepped outside to water her roses. She tried to steady her hands, but the fines, the late-night photos, and the constant threats weighed on her. The garden that once brought her peace now carried fear with every blossom. The hiss of the hose filled the silence until she heard it, the sharp click of heels on the pavement. Karen. She marched straight toward Emily, clipboard tucked under her arm like a weapon. Behind her trailed 2 HOA board members, nodding along like shadows. Emily straightened, hose in hand. What do you want now? Karen's voice carried, loud enough for every neighbor within earshot. You've ignored official warnings. You've ignored fines. This can't continue. Emily glanced around. Curtains shifted. Neighbors peeked through windows. Phones lifted, recording. This is harassment, Emily shot back. My garden is within city code. You know it. Karen's eyes narrowed. City code doesn't matter. The HOA rules matter. And you're breaking them. Emily's voice cracked with anger. They're flowers. Roses. Tulips. Nothing illegal. Nothing dangerous. Karen stepped closer, her tone icy. They're not uniform. And this community thrives on uniformity. You think you're special? You're not. Emily's hands tightened around the hose nozzle. Water sprayed harder, splashing onto the pavement. You're bullying me, she said, her voice trembling but strong. You've bullied others, and I'm not afraid of you. Karen smirked. Not afraid? Then explain why your fines are piling up. Explain why the board unanimously agrees you're in violation. Maybe you should just sell your house if you can't follow simple rules. Gasps rippled from the neighbors who had gathered on the sidewalks, pretending not to watch but unable to look away. Emily's chest burned. I'm not selling. I'm not moving. And I'm not ripping out a single flower. Karen tilted her head, the smile never leaving her face. You'll regret that. Emily stepped forward, her voice breaking. No, you'll regret this. I'll fight you. I'll fight every one of your fake rules. The crowd murmured. Phones zoomed in closer. For the first time, someone had stood up to Karen publicly. Karen's smirk faltered just for a second. Then she turned to the board members. "Document everything," she ordered. "Every day she resists, the fines double. And if she still won't comply," she paused, staring directly at Emily, "we'll take her house." Emily's knees nearly buckled, but she refused to show weakness. "You try. See what happens." Karen's face flushed, but she spun on her heel and walked away, her little entourage scrambling after her. The neighbors whispered louder now, some sympathetic, others wary. Emily could feel their eyes burning holes in her back. She looked down at her roses, her hands trembling around the hose. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out to see a new message from an unknown number. "She destroyed my family too. Don't let her win." Emily's heart pounded. Someone else had been a victim of Karen, and they were reaching out. Chapter 5: Secrets in the Shadows. The anonymous text burned in Emily's mind. "She destroyed my family too. Don't let her win." She stared at the screen, her pulse racing. Who sent it? Why now? The next evening, as the sun dipped low, Emily found out. She was in the garden, clipping dead leaves, when Mr. Harris shuffled over with his cane. His eyes flicked nervously toward Karen's house before he spoke. "I sent that message," he said quietly. Emily straightened, surprised. "That was you?" He nodded. "Karen forced my daughter's family out. They had a playset in their backyard. Karen claimed it violated HOA aesthetic standards. She fined them until they couldn't pay anymore. Then her board, approved a lien. They lost the house." Emily's stomach twisted. "Over a playset?" "Yes." His voice cracked. "She acts like she owns this whole neighborhood. Most people are too afraid to fight her." Emily clenched her jaw. "I'm not afraid anymore." Mr. Harris lowered his voice further. "She won't stop with fines. She digs. She spies. She knows everyone's weak points." Emily stared at the roses swaying in the breeze. "Then I'll give her a fight she's never seen before." Word began to spread after the confrontation on the sidewalk. Neighbors Emily barely knew started whispering to her in passing. Mrs. Lee cornered her by the mailbox one morning. "She fined me once for leaving my garbage can out 3 hours late. 3 hours. I paid it because I didn't want trouble." Another neighbor, a young father, muttered as he jogged past, "She tried to ban my kids' bikes from the driveway. Said they were a safety hazard." Each story lit a fire inside Emily. She wasn't alone. Karen had been terrorizing the neighborhood for years, hiding behind the HOA's rules. But why hadn't anyone fought back? That night, she gathered her notes. Copies of the HOA handbook, screenshots of city landscaping codes, Karen's threatening texts. She spread them across her dining table. The evidence grew like a puzzle, each piece fitting tighter into place. She whispered to herself, if she wants a war, she's going to get one. The next day, Emily returned from the grocery store to find Karen waiting by her driveway, clipboard in hand. Karen's smile was razor thin. "Your fines have doubled. You're at $1,200 now." Emily held her bags tighter. "Good. Keep adding them. I'll see you in court." Karen's eyes glittered. "Court? You think you can beat me?" Emily met her glare. "Yes." Karen leaned closer, her perfume sharp, suffocating. "You don't understand. I always win." Emily stepped past her, forcing herself to stay calm. "Not this time." That evening, as Emily prepared dinner, a knock rattled the door. She opened it to find a plain envelope on the step. No name. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "Karen has friends in City Hall. Be careful. She doesn't play fair." Emily's breath caught. Her hands trembled as she read it again and again. Friends in City Hall. Was that why no one ever stopped her? She looked out the window. Across the street, Karen stood on her porch, phone to her ear, staring directly at Emily. The message slipped from Emily's hand. If Karen had power beyond the HOA, this fight was far bigger than she imagined. Chapter 6. The Breaking Point. The next morning, Emily opened her mailbox with dread. Another thick envelope sat inside, heavier than the last. She ripped it open on the porch. Her knees went weak as she read. Notice of lien intent. Due to continued violations and unpaid fines totaling $2,350, the HOA reserves the right to pursue legal action and place a lien against your property. Emily's breath came shallow. A lien. They weren't just threatening her money now, they were threatening her home. She clutched the paper, her voice breaking. They can't do this. They can't take my house. By evening, Emily was sitting at her dining table surrounded by piles of papers, the HOA handbook, city codes, copies of every fine and letter. Her phone buzzed with another text, this one unsigned. Pay now, or the house is gone. Emily slammed the phone down. Her chest burned with panic and fury. She couldn't sleep, couldn't think. At 2 a.m., she sat at her laptop, digging through city ordinances. Her eyes burned, but then she found it. A clause stating that flower gardens, if well maintained, are protected as private property enhancements and cannot be banned by HOAs unless they pose safety risk. Her heart thumped. She had proof. She wasn't violating anything. Still, the HOA was piling fines like bricks on her back. She needed help. The next day, Emily called the number on a flyer she'd seen. Law Offices of Parker and Shaw, HOA Dispute Specialists. A calm voice answered. This is Attorney Rachel Parker. How can I help? Emily's words tumbled out. My HOA is fining me for my garden. They're threatening a lien. I don't know what to do. Rachel's voice steadied her. Do you have documentation? Yes. Everything. Good. Keep collecting. Don't pay them another cent. We'll file a response. Emily let out a shaky breath. For the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of hope. That evening, as she stepped outside with a stack of mail, Karen was waiting on the sidewalk, arms crossed. Lawyers now? Karen sneered. You think they'll save you? Emily held Karen's stare. Yes. Because unlike you, they follow the law. Karen's smile sharpened. You're in over your head. And when this is over, you'll be gone. Just like the others. Emily's grip tightened on the papers. Not this time. Karen leaned closer, whispering so only Emily could hear. You don't know who you're up against. I have connections. City Hall. Judges. You'll lose. Emily's pulse raced, but she didn't flinch. Then I'll see you in court. Karen's eyes narrowed. Fine. But remember, I warned you. She walked away, heels striking the pavement like hammer blows. That night, Emily sat at her table, reviewing everything with her lawyer over a video call. Rachel guided her step by step. Witness lists, photo evidence, text messages. You have a strong case, Rachel said. But be ready. HOA presidents like her. They fight dirty. Emily nodded, determination flickering beneath her fear. After the call ended, she looked out the window. Karen's porch light was on. The silhouette of her figure stood still, facing Emily's house, unmoving. Watching. Emily's phone buzzed again. Another message. This one chilled her to the bone. See you in court. I already know how it ends. Chapter 7. The Courtroom Battle. The courthouse smelled of polished wood and paper. Emily clutched her folder of evidence so tightly her hands ached. Every step echoed as she walked into the courtroom. Across the aisle, Karen sat in a tailored suit, her lips curled in a satisfied smile. 2 HOA board members flanked her like guards. Emily whispered to her lawyer. She looks so confident. Rachel Parker adjusted her glasses, calm but firm. That's what bullies do. Don't look at her, look at the judge. When the bailiff called the case, Emily's heart raced. Case number 2147, Parker representing Emily Green versus Maplewood HOA. The judge, a stern man with sharp eyes, looked down from the bench. Let's begin. Karen's lawyer stood first, smooth and rehearsed. Your Honor, the HOA only seeks to uphold community standards. Ms. Green's garden is a violation of the bylaws, messy, disruptive, and against the neighborhood's aesthetic. The fines are justified. Karen smirked as her lawyer spoke, nodding like she was already celebrating. Then it was Rachel's turn. Your Honor, the HOA is not enforcing rules. They are abusing power. My client's garden is well maintained, lawful, and protected under city ordinance. She held up a thick binder. We have photographs, text messages, and records of intimidation. The judge leaned forward. Proceed with evidence. Emily's hands shook as she opened the binder. She placed photos on the table. Bright roses, neat stone borders, trimmed pathways. The pictures looked nothing like the messy jungle Karen's lawyer described. Rachel called witnesses, neighbors who had admired the garden. Mrs. Miller testified, I walk by every day. It's beautiful. People stop to take pictures. Even Tom, once silent, stood up. His voice wavered but steady. Karen told me if I supported Emily, she'd fine me too. But I can't stay quiet anymore. Emily's garden is the pride of the street. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Karen stiffened, her jaw clenched. Rachel slid a printed text across the judge's desk. This came from an unknown number, but it matches the HOA president's speech patterns. Pay now or the house is gone. Karen's lawyer objected, but the judge silenced him. Overruled. Continue. Rachel's voice sharpened. This is not about community standards. This is about harassment. About a personal vendetta. All eyes turned to Karen. Her face flushed red. Finally, the judge spoke. His tone was cold, heavy. I've heard enough. Closing statements tomorrow morning. We reconvene at 9 a.m. Outside, the courthouse steps buzzed with whispers. Emily felt lightheaded, the tension pressing on her chest. Karen brushed past her, stopping just inches away. You think today went well? Karen hissed. Tomorrow, I bury you. Emily met her glare. You already lost. Everyone saw it. Karen leaned closer, her voice low and venomous. You don't know what I have planned. By tomorrow, you'll wish you never fought back. Her words lingered like poison in the air as she walked away, heels striking the concrete. Emily stood frozen, clutching her papers. For the first time, she wasn't sure if Karen was bluffing or if something darker was about to happen. Chapter 8: The Verdict. The courtroom was packed the next morning. Emily sat stiffly, her folder of evidence pressed against her chest. Her stomach churned. Rachel whispered beside her. Stay calm. We've done everything right. Across the aisle, Karen looked even more confident than before. She leaned back in her chair, whispering with her lawyer, smirking as though she already knew the outcome. The bailiff called for silence. The judge entered, robes sweeping, eyes sharp as he took his seat. Court is in session. Closing statements. Karen's lawyer went first. Your Honor, Ms. Green's emotional pleas cannot overshadow the clear rules of the HOA. The garden violates uniformity, and the fines are legal. To rule otherwise would undermine the HOA's authority entirely. He spoke smoothly, but Emily noticed his hands tremble slightly as he shuffled his notes. Karen sat with a thin smile, her chin lifted like a queen awaiting her crown. Then Rachel stood. Her voice rang clear and sharp. This case is not about flowers. It is about power. The HOA, led by Ms. Whitman, abused its authority to intimidate, threaten, and silence a homeowner. My client followed the law. The HOA did not. She held up the ordinance. City law is explicit. Private, well-maintained gardens are protected. Yet Ms. Green was fined, harassed, and even threatened with losing her home. Rachel's voice grew harder. This is not enforcement. This is bullying. And it must end today. The courtroom was silent. Every word echoed. The judge leaned back, folding his hands. I've reviewed the evidence. The HOA's claims of violation are unsubstantiated. The photographs, witnesses, and ordinance all prove the garden is lawful. He paused, eyes narrowing at Karen. What concerns this court most are the threats, the texts, the intimidation. That behavior is unacceptable, unlawful, and abusive. Emily held her breath. The judge's voice thundered. The court rules in favor of Emily Green. The HOA must cease all fines immediately. Furthermore, damages of $25,000 are awarded to Ms. Green for emotional distress and harassment. The room erupted in whispers. Emily's eyes filled with tears. She grabbed Rachel's hand. We won. But then, chaos. Karen shot to her feet, face twisted with rage. This isn't over, she screamed. You think you've won? You don't know who you're dealing with. The bailiff moved toward her, but Karen wasn't done. She turned on her own lawyer, shoving papers at him. You promised me this was guaranteed. You said the judge. The lawyer hissed, Karen, not here. Stop. But Karen didn't stop. Her voice grew shrill. I had friends in City Hall. This was supposed to go my way. Someone betrayed me. The judge banged his gavel. Order. The courtroom crackled with tension. Emily watched, frozen, as Karen spiraled. Outside on the courthouse steps, reporters swarmed. Microphones shoved in Emily's face. How does it feel to win? Do you think Karen will step down as HOA president? Emily could barely answer. She was still shaking. But one thing was clear. The truth was finally out. As she walked to her car, her phone buzzed. A new message. No number. Enjoy your win. It won't last. The garden is just the beginning. Emily's blood ran cold. She looked around the parking lot. Karen was nowhere to be seen. She clutched her phone, a chill spreading through her chest. The battle was over. But the war might have just begun. If you love watching my video, then make sure to subscribe and like my video.